Good morning. I'm Mark Allen with Gaper.io, and I'm here today with Bill Worthington, the CEO of Grizzly Shield Services. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning.
How's the weather today in beautiful San Marino?
It's great. It's been a little hotter than normal, 91 yesterday. So we're looking for some cooler temperatures in the latter half of the Napa Valley region.
Yes. So to start with, can you share a brief background of yourself and your work experience?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. So my background, I spent 14 years in the Air Force and cut my teeth in the information security business. I was intelligence officer for the 66 Rescue Squadron. Got out of the military and started my career in the IT arm of the business as a help desk agent.
Hmm.
So taking calls for salespeople in the field, fixing printers and tell them how to reboot their computers. And I worked my way all the way up to CIO
Hmm.
and did every job in between, from managing help desks to doing quality assurance to doing compliance. And then I really got into the security arm of it when PCI came into being after the Target breach. And I was working for casino companies in Las Vegas. And they really needed to actually get serious about their security. And so we started down that journey. I eventually worked my way up to becoming the CISO of Caesars Entertainment,
Hmm.
um, securing 47 casinos, securing $1 billion worth of credit card transactions. They became PCI compliant for the first time under my program. And then I also learned a lot by hosting DEF CON, the world's largest hacking convention was actually hosted by Caesars. So for 4 years in a row, I brought all the world's best hackers into my house
Hmm.
and I had to let them play, but protect everybody else from what they do best. So that was a huge learning experience and lent to understanding how to really build a security program and security in depth model to not prevent the attack, but to detect it and to mitigate it as
Hmm.
quickly as possible. So, yeah, that's been my work history.
It's a pretty interesting background from Air Force to casinos and
Yeah.
you'll see the security aspect of it. Most people don't know Caesar's Palace is a huge corporation. It's not just one hotel in Vegas.
Right. They own 9 resorts in Vegas alone and 47 casinos across North America.
Wow. So, what has been your experience with remote employment, both as an employee, working your way up the chain, and as an employer?
Yeah, it's been an interesting ride, really. I honestly have been pushing this for several years before the pandemic hit. It was really something that the IT industry, as candidates, were looking for opportunities to work from home. And to be perfectly honest, as we've transitioned to the cloud and the digital frontier that really has evolved, everything is done remote anyways. No one is standing inside of a data center beside the buzzing fans and logging into the computer, right? It's all done remote, unless there's something serious wrong.
Right.
Um, so it's just a natural progression, I think, in this industry, and it's a benefit that you could tout as an employer, maybe prior to, guess, this pandemic, that you offer remote work. It's less stressful, less commute time, less gas money. It's just
Oh,
so beneficial. Now there are downfalls
mhm.
in managing a remote staff, and I'm sure we can get into that with our questions.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because it's the benefit of it because I think the remote um, work was already on an upswing, and then COVID really. But I was actually offered a job once in the city of San Francisco, and I turned it down because they wouldn't let me work remote 2 days a week.
Right. Yeah. So we constantly were getting those questions over, I'd say, over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And certain industries adopted it a lot easier than others. The medical industry just was like, no,
No, and
at
insurance.
least in California.
Yeah.
Texas, they were a little more liberal with remote work, but in California, they just had this traditional mindset,
Hmm.
and they didn't feel that they could measure or control productivity well enough
Hmm.
without people being in the office. But crisis spurs innovation, and as such, I think it's proven to be a beneficial situation, again, with the right motivation, the right team, and the right management. You can't, like anything, people and technology, you can't just deploy it and walk away. The military call it, it's not a fire and forget missile.
Yeah.
You have to, there's care and feeding, and you have to take that time. From the time you're gaining from the remote work, I would say there's a lot of downtime with remote work, unless you're a taskmaster and you're just stuck to your computer all day. But I would say, in the most part, when people settle in, there's a lot of extra time that you can carve out to maybe make a quick video call or make a touch point with a employee, just to make sure they're on good footing with this new experience.
Yeah, I agree. I think with any job or any profession, you have certain challenges, and just, you know, remote work adds some, but also takes away some. So it's kind of,
Right.
you just have to adjust, right?
Ebb and flow, right? I call it rigid flexibility.
I like that. I might use it in the future.
All right.
I'll give you credit the first time I use it. How's that?
Okay, that sounds good.
So, on that note, what do you think is the future of remote employment, and what do you think can be done differently to make it more effective?
Well, I think there's no going back. At least I hope there's no going back. I think the cost savings, like just from the business aspect, like if I take the people out of it, just the loss of expense of rent for space, the electricity, all the amenities that you give employees these days, food, everything,
Mhm.
that's all gone. Now there is a security element that really calls
Mhm.
into question. Do you Well, let's take a step back. Is the information that you're trying to protect, or the information that you're interfacing with, of a sensitive nature that requires security to be put in place? And with today's privacy laws that are changing, which is GDPR in Europe, and now there's a Prop 24 in California, which will actually create an agency to investigate privacy breaches. It's something that businesses are going to have to understand as a cost of doing business. So once you define your data, then do you need VPN? What technology do you need to give your staff to enable that security, like VPN technology? You're going to want to establish multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication, because now your entire staff is remoting in remotely. So you've punched all these holes all over your perimeter to allow productivity, but now bad guys can use those same holes to get through your network. So it really needs to require a shift in thinking in protection, but also access, because now your access is everywhere
Mhm.
at any time of the day.
Yes.
So again, there's the positive and the negative, and you really have to balance the two. But I really don't think there's going back at this point.
Yeah.
I think staff have proven they can be trusted and be productive, and I think the business are seeing the benefits of the cost savings.
Yeah, I agree. And since you touched on security, that's a natural segue into my next question. What is the story behind Grizzly Shield Services? I assume you offer security solutions, but what is your product offering? Who's your target audience? Those things.
Yeah. So through my last 20 years of seeing large and small organizations struggle with the same threats. It doesn't matter if you're a Bank
Mhm.
of America or if you're a small business, the same hackers are attacking you. So um, it's really trying to deliver a service that is affordable for the small and medium-sized businesses to tackle this specialized skill set that has 3 million vacancies currently in the market.
Mm.
Yeah, cybersecurity professionals are an extreme commodity, and so they cost a lot. And as such, most people can't afford. They're charging $175 to $200 an hour. So we decided, no, that's not fair to the
Mhm.
small guy. And why shouldn't they take advantage of somebody with my experience, but not at say $500 an hour? So we bring our services. We try to bring security as security in a box. We
Mhm.
take it completely off your hands. I am your virtual CISO. I provide your program management, the review of what you have in place. So we do gap analysis, health checks of your environment. We can manage your AWS cloud environment for you as a SOC service. We do security education. So we do training and educational videos for our clients. Again, really take that security burden off the company's hands. Do
Mhm.
security questionnaires and really lend that expertise that would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars at a very reasonable rate. So that's what we're offering. We're offering security in a box.
Interesting. 'Cause I actually did a contract, which was, at a very good contract rate. That was a PCI compliance
Mhm.
project. Uh,
Sure.
And you're right. I mean, your solution might have been a better solution than hiring me. It was a few years back, so who
Well,
knows?
project-based work is good, but again, that's where I come back to this program. This isn't a one-stop shop. This isn't a project where you come to the end and we can check a box and we can walk away. Unfortunately, security is a journey with no destination.
Mhm.
You're just on this journey and evolving as the threat evolves. So do you. And again, how does a small business engage an entire team?
Mhm.
It would cost $1 million, and that's being
Mhm.
reasonable. $1 million just to hire the staff
Right.
enough to do the job. And again, and so what happens? The smaller and medium sized businesses say, hey, CTO, you're going to wear another hat. You're going
Mhm.
to be the security guy, or you're going to be the compliance guy. And it's not fair to them because they don't know what they don't know. So they do their best. But again, without having the expertise and the knowledge, the background, again, you just don't know what you don't know. And
Right.
it
Well,
puts
no,
you at risk.
I don't think the average business owner knows what PCI compliance really entails. It's quite
Mm.
extensive, right? And that's
Yeah.
one
So,
aspect of security.
right. And so that, the credit card industry, 400 controls that you have to satisfy. I
Mhm.
mean, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
But again, having somebody like our team that has that experience in PCI, SOX, PII, or personal identifiable information, again, with Proposition 24 coming out in California, the citizen can walk into a business and say, you need to delete all my data,
Mhm.
and then prove to me that you deleted all my data. Wow, that's going to be tough for a
Yes.
lot of people.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, can you really prove that you've deleted all of someone's data, right?
Exactly. Well, that's why you have liability insurance, I think.
Yes. And as you know, I mean, I'm a DBA by trade. As you know, you never delete a record, you mark a record for deletion. So that to truly delete a record,
Yes,
and then it has cascading effects to use
sure.
right, to use a
Well, yeah, yeah, so you have a attestation of destruction for the hardware that contained that data, but now it's all in the cloud. So now you have to rely on your cloud provider to actually take care of that requirement for you.
Yeah.
So again, the industry is really, it's been interesting. The target of breach really shifted liability down the chain of attack. Like, so the banks didn't have chip and pin, so they're reliable. So they issued chip and pin. So if the merchant didn't have the processing unit to process chip and pin, then they reliable. And if the client didn't use a chip and pin card, then they reliable. It's all about shifting liability in this environment. And again, having that knowledge is critical.
Yes. No, I agree. So you started out as a remote company. How did you actually do that? I mean, because most companies do have the office that the employees come into. How did you start that out just as a remote company?
So, so our client, again, we're focusing on cloud-based clients. So our current client is in AWS, and so it's all remote-based work. We did start our business with a traditional data center or SOC, Security Operations Center, where we had our analysts be in the same room and we reviewed our material. But because of the pandemic, we quickly shifted to working from our home offices, and we had to establish that secure connections. So we established VPN connections to our client host and really just conducted work as normal. We already established Zoom or WebEx meetings talking with the client each day. So we just continued those meetings and expanded the meeting base to our own internal meetings so that, again, we could have good touch points with one another.
Very interesting. So we talked about the pandemic and that forced everybody to go remote. You were somewhat remote at the time.
Well, and we also have, it's interesting. TikTok blew up during this time as well. And I found a videographer. She was putting out a lot of great content about cybersecurity. I reached out to her and she joined the team. So now I had this remote worker making video content for training material. And so, but we had to accommodate her schedule. So we had to shift meetings to 5 o'clock instead of earlier. And so it made our days a little longer, but making that concession really added value to the team. And it was just worth the time.
Yeah. And where's she located?
She's in LA, but she has another job. So we had to wait until that first job was finished to then start this conversation. And it's been mutually beneficial. Her growth has been over 1 million followers now, and we're getting the message out to topics like Bitcoin, blockchain, voting. And we did a podcast on why there isn't a voting app. So just, again, getting the message out and getting everybody aware that security is everybody's responsibility. It's not just one person's or one team's. Everybody who touches data needs to have that sense of responsibility.
And do you want to give a plug for your site there where the podcasts are?
Well, yeah. So it's on a YouTube channel called her following is Ray Bose. But if you look up Grizzly Shield Services, those videos will pop up. And we're actually also doing a education for kid safety because it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We're putting a video out to educate parents on the good tools to use to protect their children in this digital age.
Yeah, very good. So finally, there's companies like Gaper that help develop, build, and scale products, especially for startups. And you're still kind of in that startup mode. How important do you think that will be going forward for companies like yourself that need to hire, specific talents and in a hurry?
Yeah, I think finding those, it's kind of like, with the old debate, do you buy or do you build? And I think in this model, I think you have a lot of options out there. And if you can find the right partner, it's a lot easier and faster to buy the team and integrate it into your environment. So again, see them as a extension of your organization and your teams versus a competitor.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we're in a similar space, but we concentrate on development. You concentrate on security, and those two they overlap to a degree, right? Right, they do have to work together.
The whole argument, secure DevOps or dev secure ops.
Yeah, right. I've been in those meetings. So, well, Bill, this has been fascinating. It sounds like I have a feeling that your services are going to be much more in demand as time goes on.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, I think, again, I don't think there's any going back. And as people become more educated and aware of what companies should be doing with their data, I think the requirements are going to get more stringent.
And as long as you've brought up the subject, it'd be interesting to get the opinion of someone that's not political about Prop 24. What do you think? Yes or no? In a brief description, why?
So I vote yes. Primarily, I think more security is better. I don't think uh, companies that can afford it are doing enough because, again, they see it affecting their bottom line. So I
Mm,
think this requirement will, one, create an agency that can focus on digital privacy, because right now it's being managed by the judicial system. And
mhm,
I've seen it take up to 5 years for them to investigate a breach
mhm.
of privacy. So they don't have the resources. Um, and I think if you hurt the big business in the pocketbook, it will facilitate change, and it will trickle down.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Because I've seen it and I can see both sides of it, right?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
especially for the small business, it's harder for them to do this stuff.
Well, that's, again, I hope more businesses like mine can present themselves and offer a solution that is affordable.
So I want to thank you again for your time. This has been fascinating and have a great day.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much.